Hi everybody. I'm joined today by Howard Young. Howard Young is a sales leader at Western Union, and today we're going to touch on strategic partnerships. So an interesting topic, as we know, a bit of a backdrop to this to the upcoming conversation. We're living in a world today that's increasingly connected. We're going through living through a pandemic, which means there's an acceleration, across digitalization and digitization across industries, which means that, hey, we need to kind of partner up with people, right? And we need to partner up with organizations, particularly digital partnerships. And we all know we can't do this by ourselves. And we can't do it by ourselves because there's a various level of maturity, across technology, across products, across platforms, right? So some organizations are better at it than others, which means that we need to partner up with other organizations. So with that said, Howard, can I ask you to give a bit of an intro to yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Javid. Nice to see you again. Long time no see. And thanks for the opportunity to talk with you here today about this, which is a subject pretty close to my heart, as it's fundamentally my day job. I've been with Western Union Business Solutions, a division of the Western Union family, for it's actually my 20th year. November the 1st will see me hit the 20-year mark. So,
well done.
Thank you. I've pretty much been all the way through that last 20 years in frontline sales, whether as an individual contributor, as an area sales manager or a sales director, or a country head. I took a couple of years sojourn into a sales ops role back in 2017 to take more of a global remit and to get more involved in the processes and the policies of the business, etc. And whilst I tremendously enjoyed that particular role and the experience it gave me, and I certainly took a lot of learning from it, I'm a sales guy at heart, and I need to be lying awake at night wondering where my next deal is. So when the opportunity to come in and take this role on, which is Global Head of Partnerships for Western Union Business Solutions, I literally jumped at the chance. And I've been doing that now since last May, so sort of 18, 19 months. And, my role and remit is to basically expand and grow and build the foundations for onward growth of our channel partnerships business. So partnering is absolutely what we do every day across many a different scale of partner, which we can talk to as the conversation progresses.
No, that's great. Thanks for the intro. So jumping straight into it, Howard, one of the first questions I have is around the value that partnerships bring to your organizations. So today, when we think about partnerships, we're doing it because we want to create value. We're doing it because obviously we're missing a particular capability, or we want to be able to support customers in the right way. We want to improve customer journeys. We also want to help organizations reduce costs with efficiencies. So there are various ways that we can create value around partnerships. Well, what's your view from that perspective?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think you mentioned the word a couple of times there, and it's probably a little bit cliched, but it's absolutely true. It's customer driven, customer led. The needs of our customers drive everything that we do, and those customer needs are getting more varied and more advanced, especially in times like where we're currently experiencing at the moment. Customers want to buy from people that they know, that they trust, that they whose products and services they're comfortable and familiar with, or whose people in their network have recommended are worthy of doing such a thing. So, for us as a business, it gives us scale, right? That from a sales perspective, there's only so much you can do with X number of hunters and X number of farmers in servicing a customer base. You can only acquire so much. To scale aggressively and to grow customer and wallet share, you need a one-to-many approach, and it's something that we do really well at Western Union, and something that we're going to continue to expand on as our business grows with it. But every sales interaction that we have now with a buyer, that interaction is a lot different today than what it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, or even when I was a lad 20 years ago when I started out in this game. Back then I could have easily, cold called a business, walked in, built a rapport, signed a customer, and built a relationship with the customer there. And then that same customer today buys very differently. You know, they're probably not going to take the cold call in the first place, because why would they? You know, they've got a network that they are very comfortable in through their personal and business network. And so they'd look to leverage that as a way to source new partners and new providers. So by us being at the front end of that partner acquisition plan and building that partnership network, you know, we create an ecosystem that allows customers to talk to each other and then buy from people who they know and trust. You know, so that's the sort of the sales 101 angle to the question, answer to the question. I think, you know, thinking about where we are today and, you know, the current, where we are from a banking perspective, obviously we're in the payment space. You know, open banking almost insists upon partnership. You know, it's the incumbent banks have only got capability and breadth and depth to be able to offer their core banking services. So how do they offer more to their customers? And, you know, yes, they could build it. Yes, they could buy it. Or yes, they could partner to bring it in that way. And it's a much speedier and more efficient way to market to give customers more from your core banking platform product offering.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, partnerships is a great alternative. You know, if you think about an alternative to standard M&A acquisitions, right? There's some large organizations who feel the need that they want to control a lot more the customer experience, have more control around the value creation when they go and acquire. But there, you know, the alternative, and a great alternative, is partnerships. It's less complex in certain areas, right? I'm not saying there isn't complexity, because you need to kind of think about the right partner fit, the right culture, you know, an organization pieces around that. But it's a good alternative, right?
For sure.
So yes, I think partnerships is a great way to kind of scale your business from a sales standpoint. But it's also a great way to solve larger business problems, right? And I think today a lot of organizations, and if you let's take the banking world, the core banking world today, if you think about what they're undergoing, you know, they've got pressure around, they're disrupted around new technologies coming through, and they can't keep with the pace with that. You know, they've got increased, you know, costs around compliance themselves, because there's new regulation coming in, which means that they have to kind of deploy a lot more systems and processes, right? There increased pressure around their costs. So that means that, hey, they can't go out and do business in the way they were doing before, right? They've got also pressure around customer retention coming from a lot of these, you know, these challenger banks and the neobanks, right? So there are a lot of customers that are shifting away. So they've got that, you know, they have pressure around that customer expectation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, the world's getting smaller.
Yeah.
Right. The digitalization of the world, moving goods, services, people around the world it was gathering pace and momentum. Obviously, COVID has slowed things down a little bit, but still, you know, the real-time payments network, you know, the ability to transact cash transactions, bank transactions, credit card transactions in seconds. It's more apparent everywhere, but it's not easy to do. You know, you can't just pull something off the shelf and start doing this. You know, it's highly complex, and at Western Union we like that, right? Because we're built for that complexity. You know, you mentioned compliance. Yeah, a huge part of the organization is compliance. You know, 25% of our global workforce work in a compliance function. You know, entering new markets, new countries, new territories. You don't just walk into these places and start offering payment solutions. You know, you've got to be regulated, and you've got to be licensed, and you've got to have the infrastructure behind you to support that. So all of these things, as a large business that we are at Western Union, you know, we're equipped to be able to do. And you know, that helps us to partner with some of the more nimble fintechs, or the agile disruptors that you talked about, who maybe want access to that global scale and global presence. And it helps us to, you know, and that's why partnerships are important for us, because it brings all the pieces of the jigsaw together.
Fantastic. So that kind of leads me on to good segue into the next question, is around, so how do you go about selecting the partners? So we know one way of selecting partners around understanding the core challenges partners are facing, understanding, the strengths and the weaknesses within your own organization, which means, okay, how do you go about partnering, right? So how do you think about the right partner fit, getting the right, the right strategies in place, the right criteria to say, okay, this could be a good fit, right? What's your thinking throughout that?
Yeah, so it is. We structure that quite intensively because, there's no shortage of businesses out there who want to partner with Western Union, right? We're a big brand. We have, presence in 200 countries, able to transact 130 currencies. We are an attractive proposition to many a potential partner, but we have to also value that brand, right? And we can't devalue that brand by partnering with absolutely everybody. So we have to be selective in who we partner with. And we have a wide range of partner types at Western Union Business Solutions, ranging from a very simple affiliate type model, whereby we almost buy leads, and use those to feed our sales teams, through to more the technical integrated partnerships where we're using our API suites to offer a back end to a customer's UX or UI. So each one of those partners that we deal with are carefully selected. What's their motivation? Why do they want to partner with Western Union? Is one of the first questions that we always ask. Is it just to make money? And of course, we're all revenue driven. We have to be. But actually, if that's the only driver, then maybe that's not the right cultural fit for us, right? Because we're looking for those partners who can enhance their value proposition. We're looking for those partners who are looking to better retain their customer base or to help them to win new customers by offering more capability or flexibility. And brand is also important. We want to make sure that we're partnering with the right types of organizations that share the same values as Western Union do. So, is our partner or potential partner, are they purpose driven or value driven as an organization? Does their value proposition align to what our customer set would potentially be? Could there be a value add in leveraging our partners' assets to enhance our customer experience better? So we don't just throw the net out there and swoop any old partner in. We are quite rigid in our approach to who we want to partner with, why we want to partner with them, and then we put them through a fairly rigid onboarding process as well to bring them into our partnership network, because we know that once we do that, we'll add significant value to them, and we'll hopefully also be able to get some significant value from them to better serve our customers.
Fantastic. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Howard, one of the last questions is around technology, right? And obviously, technology is a key element in partnerships today. Both it's a disruptor, but also an enabler in many forms, right, across the partnership process, but also around the sales process, right? So what are some of the technologies that you think that are out there that are helping you in terms of with your partner proposition, but also enabling you to go and achieve the strategic objectives of your organization?
Technology is everything at the moment. It's the touch word. It's on every business's lips. And how can we better leverage technology to grow our business? And certainly in the payment space, where there's the oft used phrase of frictionless payment experience. It's the utopia. It's the golden egg. Everybody wants it. It's very hard to actually achieve it when you think about all the different touch points of a payment process of KYCing a client, bringing them into the ecosystem, setting them up onto your platform, taking settlement, sending funds cross-border via correspondent banking or via an ACH network. None of that is essentially frictionless. So to make it frictionless is a challenge, but it's where technology can certainly help. So, the obvious technology play at the moment, and probably the most used 3-letter acronym in the world at the moment across every business is API. We're certainly no different in that regard. We're advancing our API capability to enable more seamless and better integration into partners. And then that API across obviously comes across in many guises. Digital onboarding, is a huge technology advancement that we're seeing in the payment space. KYCing a consumer through a digital onboarding platform is relatively straightforward, because once you've got a date of birth and a home address and a full name, you're pretty much okay from a KYC perspective in terms of what you get to know about them. Doing the same for a business that is owned by a trust fund or owned by another business or another set of three or four businesses is a lot more challenging. So I think that whole digital onboarding play will continue to evolve and become more advanced as we go forward. And look, everybody wants to do everything fast. That's the bottom line, And so, can we onboard a customer fast? Can we make a payment fast? Can we take settlement fast? The answer is yes to all of them, but a lot of it is the swan on the lake analogy, where we might be serving the customer fast, but below the surface we are scrambling around all over the place with our manual processes. So absolutely, we want to embrace technology. We are embracing technology to better serve our customers, and it's an exciting time ahead, that's for sure, in terms of what we don't know is out there, right?
No, some interesting perspectives on there, and absolutely, API is a trend these days. Having said that, I think you need to look at the API maturity of partners and organizations, right? So whilst APIs are developed, the art is how can you package those up, probably like into an SDK, and make it easier for a partner to consume, right? But partners their end may not always have the same level of API maturity in terms of, do they have the right developer centers, or do you have the right developer centers in place to be able to consume that? Digital identity is definitely a key thing. We see that in payments. A lot of payment companies are employing digital identity technology today to quickly onboard consumers. But another interesting one is obviously the famous AI and machine learning, right?
Of course,
data is all about it. It's everything today, right? So it's how do you leverage data to offer personalized experiences to consumers, improve the customer experience and the journeys, right? So that's kind of an interesting area to watch out for.
Yeah, kicking myself, I missed that one, Javid. It's again, it's amazing some of that stuff that's out there. And we're consuming some of it now. Again, and it's amazing what it can do, both for us internally, but also for our customers. And it's another one that you fast forward through 6 months, 6 years. What will the world look like then? The rate of change is massive.
Well, if you talk, you mentioned open banking and real-time payments, right? I think both of these things have a play on the data, right? So open banking is tomorrow going to become open finance, right? So they're just going to share data amongst, third parties and really change value propositions, right? And enable that. So it's all about creating. I think open banking AI is all going to be a platform play, right? So it's going to be about creating a platform and creating an ecosystem across third parties, which is great because it's going to mean more partnerships, right? And I think you said it best in the beginning. It's almost forcing you down the route of partnerships, right?
Yeah.
But the key differentiator here is I think organizations like Western Union are pretty well placed in terms of serving both B2B segments, but also the consumer segment. And I can see that you guys are doing some interesting things on the cross-border platform to serve both of these segments, right? So absolutely, watching from the sidelines with great interest, right?
Well, I hope there's plenty to watch. I say there's certainly no shortage of opportunity out there, and we're all working hard to accomplish what we believe we can accomplish and embrace that technology that's out there to help us to do that faster. But ultimately, as I say, to better serve those customers that are at the heart of every decision we make, to be fair.
Fantastic. Howard, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your insight into the strategic partnerships world from your perspective, at least. All right.
No problem at all. Anytime. Enjoyed it. Thanks, Javid.
Take care. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.